Hello and welcome to the BSR Grand Tour live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me is Marco Barbanet with Sam Kume on the cameras. And we are here at Motegi for the penultimate round of the championship prior to the showdown. And boy, is this showdown lining up very, very close. Marco, it's super close for those positions. From what I can see at least, there's still a good 8 drivers who can get in. Those positions are going to be really hotly contested. And this Motegi circuit, it's maybe not the most loved as such. It's a unique circuit, I'd say. A lot of slow corners, and it's of course got the Japanese tarmac, and it's going to present a different challenge, I think, from maybe the more conventional European circuits.
Absolutely. Speaking of Japanese, konbanwa, and welcome. Good evening to the beautiful BSR Grand Tour. You are right, Sam. It's going to be a very tough race for these guys. And I think that this track, you said it's unique, and it is, because it has the unique feature of being contained inside an oval racing track. So it's not like those American ovals where you get the road course and the oval track combined. So it has a very there's a lot of design quirks. You go under a bridge, the pit lane entry can be difficult. There are some very, very tough corners. I think it's going to provide for some great racing, but it's also going to be very, very challenging. So the best drivers will undoubtedly come out on top at the end of the race today, or the 3 races we're going to have tonight.
Yeah, going to be really, really challenging for those guys. Not a circuit necessarily that they would have gone to too much in the past. Josh Thompson does lead the championship with 777 points. However, you may not feel as though he wants to do the showdown event with the McLaren Shadow program. That's why he's not here for this race. I think he might pull out of this just to give someone else a chance at the showdown program. I don't think he's going to be able to commit to that. Steve LeVay, though, should be able to commit to this season. He's maybe going to take the lead. He's confirmed in that showdown, all but Warmingham is the first on the edge. Warmingham, Robinson, Malcolm and Abdoga currently occupy those positions, but you can see with the screens, with the points on your screens, Rick Cullen, Richard Gavenku, Jamie Ayres, Michael Gray, and maybe even Anthony Jacobson are right on the cusp. They could really still make this one. And with the quality of driving we've seen this season, Marco, and a couple of drivers, maybe in Robinson and Malcolm, in that showdown currently, who aren't necessarily the fastest drivers. I think there's a couple of drivers behind them, arguably, who are a little bit faster, and they're going to have to really put together a good round today.
Absolutely. And speaking of Thompson, I think we might be able to get a glimpse of his new McLaren later today, like he told us yesterday. I don't know if he's going to be here. As I think, Sam, we can give our viewers the starting grid for race 1.
Yes, and it's Richard Warmingham on the pole position, just ahead of Michael Abdoga. Last season, anyone who would have watched the season series would have known that when Warmingham gets the pole position, it's very difficult to beat Abdoga on the front row with him. Steve Labelli in third, a little bit off in qualifying, half a second off the lead. Stuart McFadden, good showing from him in fourth, with Jamie Ayres in fifth. Then it's Lane O'Connor, Colin Robinson in 7th, it's got Malcolm 8th, Lee Deemer, next week Cullen. Boy, does he need the points to get into the showdown. Kip Stevens, Woodburn, Anthony Jacobson, James Underhill starts in 14th, with Max Wright starting in 15th position, and we are just gridding up for the formation lap. And yesterday, tried something a little bit different. We got one dislike for it, I think, but random facts about Japan. One of them is the Japanese eat more fish than any other people in the world, about 17 million tons per year, which is quite a few. It also has the most McDonald's restaurants not in America, so 3,000 of them. So there are your useless Japanese facts as we're just lining up. And
I think that today I can beat you with my love for Japanese culture. So but I hope and I think that the drivers will keep us busy on track. But we are going to have a rolling start for race 1, and no missing pace car driver this week, luckily, unlike last week in race 1 at Interlagos. And we are moving. You can see the different cars in front rows. Of course, it is a Mercedes show. Apart from that black Ferrari you see on the right side of your screens, and some more Mercedes and BMWs, and I think we also have an Audi today in the field. So it's good to have almost all of the manufacturers represented, as it's a very short pace lap, Sam. So I think it's time to go.
Yep, Richard Warmingham. Currently, Evdoka's just a little bit ahead of him. Warmingham does take that lead, and it's going to be awkward for these final few corners. Warmingham floors it. He's away quick. Evdoka actually gets a pretty good run, but he's not going to be able to challenge across the start-finish line just behind Steve Lavelli. Under pressure from Stuart McFadden already, but it's Warmingham away well from the pole position. Evdoka challenging into turn one, and Lavelli having to go defensive against McFadden. McFadden looking to the inside. Could there be contact between these two? Not quite, but he's going to have to go defensive once again. Ayres just watching just behind. McFadden getting a little bit frustrated, flashing the lights, but that's not going to help him into turn three. Can't make that move. So a relatively civil start, I'd say, Marco. Not too many big moves. With Karnen be the first driver to make a move. He's got past Lee Diemer.
Yeah, you see drivers trying to use all of the track to get good traction out of these corners, and this section here is relatively, let's say, it's not very easy to pass here under the bridge also. Then now we are going to get some semi-long straights here and some corners. We see almost 180 degrees, then left and right. Here it is sort of S corner. It's not easy to pass in this track. You have to work very, very hard. I think that the best opportunity is going to be at the downhill hairpin that we are going to get in a couple of seconds after this corner here. As, yeah, everybody looks to be with a clean car as we get towards the end of the first lap, as Jamie Ayres is trying to get closer to McFadden, as Lavalli was able to get a little bit of a gap between himself and fourth position. Here we go to the hairpin, and we'll see if somebody will try a move here.
Yeah, it's difficult to go for the dive bomb, I'd say, into one of these corners because the track's just not wide enough, and through that corner in particular, it's downhill as well, which kind of just makes it even more risky for just to go for the move. Can't want an uphill gradient, I think, if you're going to come from a long way back. Jamie Ayres nearly spinning it coming out of the final corner. But yeah, this has been a very silver start. The top five, though, not a gap more than 0.8 of a second. James Underhill on the tail of Kip Stevens. So Stevens struggling a little bit in that Audi. Good to see Representative Kip isn't going to get into the showdown. He had his points scouting round, and he may well hit the wall, but the big run-off areas here.
He saved it.
Yeah, big run-off areas really have helped him out there.
Yeah, nice save there, and I have to say this car looks amazing. You know, usually I think he switched from Mercedes to BMW and now to Audi, and they are very, 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 very different cars. Well, the Mercedes and the BMW are quite similar, but the Audi is completely different. V10 engine on the, let's say, back of the car, more in the middle, to be honest. And you have to be a completely different driver to get the best out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see how he will perform. And I think that mistake he made there maybe was due to his relative inexperience with this car.
Yeah, perhaps. And yeah, maybe not quite confident with the setups either, because that takes a long, long time to be able to create your own setups and really custom it around your driving. Lee Woodburn looking close on James Underhill, pretty much the closest that's allowed there. I think he's really got the run coming down the hill here. And it's a bit of an odd corner. There are a lot of hairpins on this track, a lot of safe sweet corners, like I said at the start of the show. And yeah, it's not really a circuit like this around the world, but out in the lead, Richard Warmingham leading by 0.7 of a second. He's being kept honest by the drivers behind him. You can see they're lining up behind him, but they're going to need some overspeed, I think, if they're going to even challenge Warmingham for the lead.
Evdoka fastest lap of the race at 50.530. So he has the pace, you are right. I don't know if Lavalli can stay close to these guys in front of him, but Evdoka is looking very, very fast, and I think he will try to make a move. But you are right, it's not easy to pass here, and He has to be very, very careful because, you know, a lunge here and there when there's no space could result in a contact and, of course, in a lot of positions lost. As we see, Ayers and McFadden going at it once again.
Here we go. This section of the course can really provide great racing because you can go around the outside into one of these curves and then maybe have the inside for the next corner. Jamie Ayres could not quite take that. Stuart McFadden nearly took third position at the start of the race, but they're losing each other a lot of time now. And the top three pulling away up ahead. Ayres, though, is just concentrated on trying to make this move. He's gone to the outside, maybe came to a little bit of a dummy to the inside. Not quite. McFadden couldn't shove him off the circuit though, and round the outside goes Ayres. He just wants the cut back now, but they get on the power at a similar time. Slightly better traction there for Jamie Ayres, and McFadden is squeezing him right to the wall. That was good defense from Stuart McFadden. Ayres to the outside gain as the track narrows down the hill they go. A little bit deep on the brakes perhaps as McFadden, but there's not too much you can do on the exit of this corner because you're straight into the next complex. It's very much single file here, but Ayres goes into the back of McFadden ever so slightly, but that was nice defense from McFadden. I thought he very much fended off any sort of attack that Ayres could have proposed, and yeah, he's retained that position for now.
Quick glance at the front of the Mercedes, looks okay, as I think that is a dive bomb there. We see Callinan on the inside of Malcolm. BMW against Mercedes, and he makes the move and also tries to get the move done on Robinson, who is very, very slow coming out of that corner. Maybe Malcolm will try a move once again, and he has to slot back in.
So Cullinan is pretty much the only driver out there who's managed to pull off some overtakes, and he's pulled off 2 of them. And them being on there, on his championship rivals as well. Another one coming up, Colin Robinson. And here we go, side by side. McFadden on the outside, Ayres on the inside. It's going to be switched around though this time. Ayres has got to try to just hold it round the outside. He's going to have the inside for the next one, but can he just stay level? Yes, he can, Stuart McFadden. That is brilliant driving there to just get his nose ahead, and he's going to have the inside as well into this hairpin. This is the great racing you can get around Motegi. Can he just push Ayres off? He tries to, and they make contact. That could have been a whole lot worse. Ayres may still even have the inside for the hairpin, but he really got his run compromised by that move from McFadden. And that time I thought for McFadden, that was a little bit nuts because he tried to cover Ayres off, but in the end Ayres had his nose in there. Exactly,
great racing between these two guys, some slight contact, but it's okay, I think. The only problem is that now Jamie Ayres, Lane O'Connor has joined the battle, and he may profit very well from these two guys battling and maybe make a double move. Who knows? If you know, there's been 2 instances when these two guys have touched. Maybe the third time they won't be so lucky, and O'Connor might profit from that.
Oh, the lead is really close, so it's down to 0.3 of a second. And so yeah, Ayres trying to go for the move on McFadden, but it's 0.2 of a second now between Warmingham and Evdoka. Here they go, Evdoka to the outside. You can't do a whole lot here unless you can maybe go for the cut back into turn 4. It's not really a long enough run, but here we go again. Evdoka in the slipstream, just watching behind as the other XBR driver of Steve Labelli. Evdoka will look to the inside, and he's gonna maybe have his nose cut off a little bit. Warmingham leaves too much space, and Evdoka is gonna have the inside for this next corner. No, he's not. The run from Warmingham was just about good enough. He's gonna have to go defensive once again here. Evdoka flashing his lights, and he's gone to the inside here. Warmingham round the outside, he's going to have the inside for the next one, and he almost runs off the circuit now. Evdoka side by side, he's going to have the inside for the next corner, and that should be job done for Michael Evdoka. That's a perfect move, really driving well there, Michael, and he's into the race lead.
Absolutely, a great pass from Evdoka, as we see once again these two guys, McFadden and Ayres, battling, and now if you look carefully, well, not carefully, you can just see that there's a huge queue behind Stuart McFadden. Everybody has joined this fight for 4th place, and I think the sooner Ayres can pass McFadden, the better for him, because otherwise these guys will go to town and try to make moves left and right. Great defending there, once again, almost 3 wide going to the hairpin now.
Oh, Ayres nearly into the back of him. I think that Ferrari has a nice little bit of straight line speed, doesn't it, which just allows him to fend off any attack. That is a surprise though from Ez, and he's trying to go for it at a corner that you would not dream of doing it, and it's going to leave him vulnerable now to Lane O'Connor.
Oh.
He's trying to move through. Cullinan nearly loses it in the background. Malcolm as well. Robinson trying to get involved. For now, it seems like McFadden's going to be fine. O'Connor to the inside of Jamie Ayres. The two Mercedes side by side, and they've made contact, and Ayres has lost 2 positions in a couple of corners, and he might lose more because Cullinan is right on his tail, just behind Cullinan to the outside, going into turn 3. This squabble of cars all coming through. Ayres hangs on for now, but he's off the circuit again, and Cullinan is going to go for it. They're side by side coming out of turn 4. This is fantastic battling, and going into 5, it's not going to end.
Great racing here. Cullinan once again on the inside. You could see Ayres was not happy about that contact, flashing his headlights. Coming out of turn 1, he lost a lot of positions, now down to P7, and that contact broke up the battle here just a little bit, but I think these guys will go back and have a train once again in just a few corners, because McFadden is still there, still in 4th position, and everything is happening behind him.
Yeah, he'll be super pleased with this this situation, because they're all fighting amongst each other rather than fighting against him, and he has got that 4th position a little bit more easily. Lane O'Connor, what an upturning form he's had. He had a good Interlagos, and if only he was this competitive for the entire season, then he'd be an almost nailed on Showdown contender, but instead he's pretty much mathematically out of a chance of getting into the top 6 at the end of the next round at Phillip Island next week. O'Connor right close to McFadden, but yeah, what will O'Connor be able to do that Ayres wasn't able to do, because McFadden just managed to stay off any kind of attack that there was behind.
Yeah, we saw a very strange line here from O'Connor through the final the final chicane, and in fact he lost a little bit of ground to McFadden there. Now he's going to make that ground up again, and once again we have a train in the battle for P4, as the cones sadly are launched in the air. What a tough job they have.
Yeah, it's we saw it at Indianapolis, didn't we? I wasn't here, unfortunately, but yeah, the amount of cones dispatched there. Oh dear. Oh, down the inside. Oh wow, that was a nice attack from Ayres, and it's put Robinson off. That was brilliant from Jamie Ayres. That was a really nice little tactic to just glance to the inside, and he's got the power through this turn 6, and he's going to be able to pull ahead. That was brilliant from Jamie Ayres there, just to put off Colin Robinson, and it's profited with a P6 position.
Yeah, nice dummy there, and he was able to complete the move. And that's maybe the tactic you have to use around here if you want to make a move. If you want to set up a move, you have to maybe bait your opponent into covering, or maybe just flat out scare your opponent, and then you can get a good run. As we see, Ayres is not done with this tactic, even though now he has O'Connor in front of him. He was having a little bit of connection issues, I think, so it's not going to be that easy, because you don't know where he is sometimes.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen when you're fighting against a couple of drivers. So far, O'Connor hasn't been able to mount an attack on Stuart McFadden. What a good qualifying it was for McFadden to put it into P4, because it doesn't seem as though he's necessarily the fourth fastest driver there. So, because Ayres now right on the tail of O'Connor. Remember, he was ahead of O'Connor. He was pressurising McFadden for several laps, but just a misplaced move, really. Well, he tried to go for that little bit of a dummy once again. O'Connor taking an early apex, and that wasn't really a possibility, but maybe coming out of turn 2 now. O'Connor glitching about slightly. Ayres into the slipstream, but once again, I don't think he's going to be close enough.
Not enough. One point about those cones we saw launched in the air once again. Sometimes they can get stuck on the bottom of your car, and you have to go to the pits. So you have to be extremely careful if you run over them constantly. It's fine if you hit them with the the side of your car, but if you run them over with the front of your car, you risk getting them stuck under your under tray. So you see, Ayres is very close, but he's a little bit scared, I think, because it might happen that O'Connor's car can glitch.
Oh, inside of him.
Inside, yeah. That's a way to make a pass.
Deliberate, was it?
Oh man, he went straight through him and got the. Maybe that was the only way somebody could pass McFadden tonight, because he's making that Ferrari very, very large. Let's see a replay.
This must have been a mistake. Yeah, that was so a mistake. That was not a deliberate move. McFadden, though, could get pushed off a little bit. And he's actually apologised to McFadden. I think he may have had another incident, has he? I don't think he has, actually. But he has just said sorry on the driver's chat. Maybe that's a bit ironic. But yeah, brilliant move there from Lane O'Connor. 2 positions from his start.
I think he got, you see this car glitching in and out. And all of a sudden you see this car basically, you know that he's glitching, so he probably will not hit you, as Cullinan goes once again very wide there at the final corner. But I think he got a bit scared, because you see this car in the rearview mirror, it's suddenly so big. As he goes for a move on turn 1, he says, you are... oh, touch!
Wow. As goes through. Cullinan's there or thereabouts as well.
And he's back to the pits. Lane O'Connor, I think, he towed back to the pit lane.
Oh, that great work, wasn't it, from Lane to get himself into that P4, and McFadden maybe getting a little bit frustrated after that move on the last lap. Then if we could see a replay of what quite happened there, maybe an on board with Stuart McFadden, because that seemed to be a little bit of an ambitious move from a long way back into turn 1, and he was a long way back. Yeah, it's very clumsy there from Stuart. Yeah, it wasn't even on the brakes, was it? He was just a bit too eager to get on the throttle.
Yeah, exactly. And since he was not glitching, O'Connor, basically his car was back to a solid state, and that what caused the collision, of course. If he had glitched at the same moment that McFadden was going into him, we would have had another pass like the one we had before. And of course, it's never nice to have something like this happen, but with connection problem, sometimes you have to be extra careful. And this time, sadly, we had a contact, and Lane O'Connor sadly will not be eligible for the reverse grid. I use this moment of relative calmness to remind you we have 3 races tonight. This race here and the next one will be 20 minutes long with a reverse grid. And race 2 final results will determine the starting grid for race 3, which will be 35 minutes with a mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, and sometimes this race 1 can be a little bit dull. Been anything but maybe for the lead, where we did see a change for the lead. Actually, Robinson's trying to make a change for 6th position. Cullinan did make the move earlier on. Cullinan at 4 positions from his start. He's been maybe a little bit lost in qualifying so far this season, but in the races he's been bang on. Malcolm, just watching this, he's not going to get involved in any unnecessary collisions. That's been his tactic for the entire season. And how has that profited him, Marco?
I had talked to him after last week's BSR, this week's, I have to say, MX5 race.
No, come on.
No.
Oh
man,
we're so sorry.
I was just about to say that we had a nice discussion, and he said to me that the races, we understand that we raced the same way without taking any unnecessary risk, and I was going to say that I thought this was going to be a winning strategy if he were to be consistent. And sadly, right as we were on board with poor Scott, he went straight into the barrier, sadly, and losing a lot of positions there. Car still seems working, so he will not go a lap down hopefully in these final 2 minutes of the race, and will be eligible for the reverse. But man, Sam, we are absolutely we are terrible.
I'm blaming it on you, to be honest, because you're usually the one who inflicts these curses. It's not me. I haven't had one for ages.
In the meantime, Evdoka has lost a bit of ground, and now Wormingham is right on his tails as we start the final lap of this first race of the evening.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Evdoka on that lap. He lost 1.3 seconds. I know he's got a fuel issue, maybe. Not quite sure, but that's a really downturn in pace for Evdoka, and it's left him a little bit vulnerable. Wormingham and Lavallee have been glued together pretty much since Evdoka made that move earlier on in the event. And Evdoka, yeah, still ahead and still looking as though he's going to claim this race victory, which would really help his chances at the showdown. So too Richard Wormingham, of course. Wouldn't necessarily confirm it, they'd still have to turn up for Phillip Island, but boy, would it help their points tally.
Yeah, now seems like Evdoka was able to get once again a little bit of a gap, 0.8 of a second over Birmingham, as I think that Levalli is happy to stay there in third position and won't try a move on Birmingham. He had, great race from Levalli. He's been there toe to toe with the leaders. He's not taking any unnecessary risks, and I think he will be happy with a podium finish, as Evdoka now has got 1.2 seconds, so it's looking like everything is sorted for his race, and he's going to get a win here in race 1.
Yeah, certainly looks that way. Just there's not going to be a swap between the XBR drivers. I don't know what the point in that would be, seeing that Birmingham is behind in the championship. But here we go. Michael Evdoka going to come round the final few cars here at Motegi, and he's going to take another race victory. He's had a real upturn in pace these past few weeks. And here he comes, Michael Evdoka, to take race 1 here at Motegi. And what a good drive that was from him. Got the move on Richard Warningham in the opening stages. And from then on, he was very calm in the lead. And despite a slightly poor penultimate lap where he lost a bit of time, he was very comfortable in the end to the checkered flag. Still pretty close across the line between these guys. I haven't seen Jacobson, haven't seen too much of his battle with James Underhill. And Underhill's just going to be able to hold up there with Max Wright watching them intently. And yeah, just got a couple more drives to come through. In the end, Scott Malcolm did lose a position to Lee Diemer. Actually, I think we saw that because with that damage, he came home in P9, so it wasn't too bad for him. But yeah, Marco, that was a fantastic battle between the mid-pack there. I think the fact that it's so difficult to overtake around here really provided us some great chains and great battles, and I think that's going to be the same in races 2 and 3.
Absolutely, we had action all over the field. Nice battle for the lead, and almost another battle for the lead in the final few laps. A great battle in the mid-pack for position 4, 5, 6, and so on. So it was a very, very entertaining start to the evening, and I cannot wait for race 2. And I think we have the race results.
Yes, and it's Michael Evdoka taking the race victory, 1.5 seconds clear of Richard Warningham in the MSD Levalli in third position and 2 seconds off the lead. Jamie Ayres, 15.5 seconds off the lead in fourth. He had good pace though, and certainly watch out for him later on today. I think he's really got the pace to win a race today. Stuart McFadden, what defence that was from him, but also a little bit of a questionable move late on. He finishes in fifth. Dave Cullen, and great drive through the field, 10th to 6th. Colin Robertson finishes in 7th, that's good for his showdown challenge, with Lee Diemer in 8th. Then it was Scott Malcolm in 9th after a mistake in the closing stages. James Underhill in 10th, Anthony Jacobson 11th. It was Max Wright, Lee Woodburn, Kip Stevens and Lane O'Connor, who retired from the race and will not be eligible for the reverse grid. And Sam, I think we have the reverse wheel for today.
Yes, we do. And again, the usual reverse grid wheel for this one. It only applies to the second race, and third race will be full reverse. Let's see what we get for the second race here. It is only going to be 10, but considering we have 15 drivers in the grid, that is still fairly big.
Yes, and that means James Underhill will be on pole position with Scott Malcolm in second, Lee Dean will start in third, with Colin Robinson fourth. That's going to be fascinating because no disrespect to any of those guys, I don't think there's anyone out of place, Marco, because all the quick guys are in first, second, third and fourth. Those are the guys who I believe can win a race, and everyone else are just going to have to try to use their racecraft and their guile to hold on to those positions.
You know, and yes, and for the guys that will start the race in the front row, maybe a chance to redeem themselves, especially Scott Malcolm, who was having a nice race and then that unfortunate mistake. So I'm having very, very high expectations from this second race coming in just a few minutes.
Yes, we'll be back with you in about 20 minutes time for race 2 of the evening here at Motegi. and he will get his foot down any moment now as the pace car pulls in. Tony Klinsmann waits to apply the throttle, and there he goes. It's not a brilliant launch for him, and Michael Avdoka's right on his tail. Can he get into the slipstream? It's just side by side between Foggy, but Klinsmann hangs on to the inside. Avdoka not taking too many risks, and down the inside for Klinsmann. It's a good start for him, just holding on against Avdoka. Foggy into third, Brandon fourth, Jackson fifth, Lutzmore sixth. And
Daledon goes around at the chicane. He's bringing the car back onto the track, but he lost a lot of positions there. Too aggressive, as I said, inexperienced with his cars, and it showed here.
And Avdoka leads this race, and now Foggy's looking for any opportunity to get past. Brandon looking racy as well in fourth. Klinsmann, he's not used to this, being overtaken on just the second lap. But it seems to be that Avdoka has certainly the pace to win this race. Down the inside goes Klinsmann. Avdoka not building up the lead, but Klinsmann there trying to stay as close as possible. Trying to get the move down into the Casio triangle. Down the inside goes Lutzmore, and he can get that done, and here comes Richie. Down the inside, can he get it stopped? Just about, but he needs to get the cut back now. Brilliant drive. Oh, and off the track goes Lutzmore. He got the move done. Richie might gain two positions here in a couple of corners. Richie into the slipstream. Gotta go to the inside. Not much defense from Jackson. And Richie will just go straight through here. And he goes up into fifth place. Brilliant debut drive for Richie out.
Sorry guys, I want to butt in very quickly. Michele Richie around, coming out of the Casio triangle. Issues for him.
Yeah, I was watching the live timing. I thought he was going in for a pit stop, or a very early pit stop, but you're right, he went around.
I think Klinsmann might be about to lose a position here. Here comes Foggy. Klinsmann's got to slow down. Don't go into the back of him, Brandon. Oh, that was so close. Klinsmann was desperate not to drop down to fourth. Foggy close, not looking for a move. Do you think that was maybe... Do you think he's quite happy? Do you think that's a sign? Because there was no kind of glance to the inside at all there. Oh, he's off the track. No. But he's held on. He's going to remain in second place. Wow, that was so close. What's that? Oh, what do you think of that?
The commentator's curse?
Oh, no.
Oh, another error.
And Brandon now around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the final S. And Klinsmann started in first place. But on lap 10, he's fallen down to fourth.
And avoiding contact. Well, the other car
oh,
was
he got another
joining
driver up. So, Rosie Borges has just gone off. McKnight, no. Wow, and now down the inside of both of them goes Michel Richie. Down the inside goes Richie. McKnight's going to try to hang it round the outside. Richie hangs on 2 places in one. We're seeing McKnight spend 10 laps behind Borges, not being able to make up 1 place. And Richie has made up 2 places here twice now in this event. Doesn't seem like anyone's going to pit this time round.
And Lusterman is in.
Oh,
well.
So Alex, you're opposite.
Miles off.
Avdoka's in, so Avdoka's in.
And of course, he pits this time.
Well, now we're really confused because I was hoping that for once Apex Racing TV would know what's going on with the strategy, but that's right in the middle. So he's left himself options, but now a 2-stop's going to be surely really difficult for him to achieve. A driver a little bit off the... oh, Foggy is in. Foggy's in. Is Brandon in? No, Brandon stays out. So surely that's got to be a 2-stop for Brandon. Is Foggy exiting the pits? Yes, he's miles ahead. Foggy is a long... Nicole Foggy with a much shorter pit stop. 9 seconds shorter.
And Johnny Brandon is in from the first position.
Lutzmore in as well, and Jackson, so that seems to be the cutoff, no further than 19 laps on these tyres. Foggy will retake the lead. Brandon still stationary, clearly going on the same strategy as his teammate Michael Avdoka, but where will he be in relation to Avdoka? Avdoka passed, so Brandon still stationary. It's going to be a 35-second stop, 3 seconds slower than his teammate. Stephen Lutzmore gonna be, yep, exactly the same stop for him though, 4 seconds, and Jackson 34 seconds. Where's Richie compared to them? Richie has jumped them both. So Richie with that short stop has gone from 7th to 5th. in that pit stop period. Building on your point you just said, how drivers aren't really taking advantage. Tony Klusman just made a big error. An error now for Richie. Latimer down the inside. Richie's not going to have a chance, and that's much better than what Richie did in the Casio Triangle when Klusman made a mistake, because Latimer has pounced on that, and that was a really good opportunistic move in the end. Whitaker's got to let past these two. This is not what Latimer needs whatsoever. But again, Richie's not there to take advantage. Whitaker off the circuit, but lets them through eventually. And again, Richie, he's not really there. What's the chances of there? Oh my goodness, Latimer, another slide. Here comes Richie down the inside of Spoon. Can he make it? Yes, he can. No, he's got a big slide down the inside. Goes Latimer. He's going to have to drag the second part of Spoon, sorry. And here comes back Richie. They're going to be side by side. Going into 130R now, heading up the hill. And Richie, doubt he's going to have a go down here.
Klosterman is in. Yeah, Klosterman is in for a pit stop.
Okay. Yeah, I really should just shut up now, shouldn't I? Because I've been wrong on every single count.
Number 66.
Oh, he's in.
He's in, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, this is really spicing up now. I was a bit concerned that maybe they're all going to go for 2 stops, but there's a clear divide in the strategy. Foggy in on lap 30 of 56. So, of course,
and Evdoka is in.
Evdoka is in. Oh, wow. Okay.
By the way, and now he's the new leader.
Evdoka's ahead of Foggy. What a quick stop for Michael Evdoka. 7.7 seconds for Evdoka. What a pit stop. He is into the net lead.
And Latimer is around again. Oh no, he's safety.
Oh, he's going to lead up to Jackson, isn't he? Here comes Jackson. Is he going to get a slowdown, Latimer? And Latimer does pit this time, so he won't have to serve the slowdown. That's the smart thing to do. Yeah, classic error in this car. We've seen it a few times today. Just the wheel spin is so difficult to control. Really do respect these drivers out here for doing, 56 laps in such powerful cars. Just a little bit of a reference. Foggy is 25 seconds behind, and they both have a stop to go. Brandon's stop is going to be significantly longer, however, but Foggy is closing in at 2 seconds a lap currently, and is now only 3 seconds behind Michael Evdoka. So, I think Brandon's in. Brandon's in.
He's in.
So, this is going to be kind of where we get a decent reference and the target for Foggy, because he's going to undoubtedly be a long way behind, but it's how far behind it is going to be the important question. And Jackson in it as well, yeah. So Evdoka will lead. No, Evdoka's in! Oh my goodness. So Evdoka had that super short second stint. You know what? I don't think that's worked for him, has it? Surely not, because he's going to have the same length of pit stop as Brandon. And, just lots more going past. And Chris Jackson going past as well. Michael Evdoka, Jim McKnight going past. And Jose Borges just going through 130 up. And Klusman, 25 seconds now stationary, and away he goes. So decent stop for Klusman. And I think he might just stick in that 7th place to the end of the race now. He's still stationary. Brandon is coming across the line now. Foggy still stationary. Still taking fuel seemingly. Brandon's going to take the lead. Through goes Johnny Brandon into the lead of the race. Nicole Foggy now gets away.
Definitely tyres, guys. Second sector,
tyres. Okay, thanks for
optimal, straight away. Sector 2, optimal. So he's quick.
This is on, so 8 seconds to catch. And he has got, this is lap 49 of 56. This is proper intense now. He doesn't, can he go to the inside here? Big slide for Jackson. Jackson's slow, going to be slow on the exit. Here comes Evdoka. Needs to get the run. This is crucial. Championship point to get such a big slide, does Michael Evdoka. But he's still in the slipstream, right behind Chris Jackson. They're not going to clear the 71 car in time. Defensive from Jackson. Round the outside goes Evdoka. He needs this all the way round the outside through the first part. Through the second part, he can get the inside for the third part. He's nearly lost it. Oh my goodness me, I thought that was curtains for the pair of them. Evdotka, I thought he'd made it, but clearly those marbles just affecting him too much.
He maybe doesn't know that Johnny Brandon is on worse tires than Foggy, so he doesn't know that there will. Oh, we got an attack on the outside that was very
He's
risky.
go for it. He's got the inside maybe for the final corner. Here he goes. He's got to go for it. Brandon down the inside. Can't make it.
Long story short, he wants to make the pass. He wants to get the point. Because we don't know if Foggy will be able to pass Brandon, in all seriousness. And he tries again on the outside.
Oh, big
the
contact.
touch!
Oh,
That's a
oh
big
my
crash.
goodness. Wow. That was as close as... Oh, and he's got damage. I think that's Jackson with steering damage maybe. Brandon got decent traction from the hairpin. And Foggy, he's struggling to get any closer. He's 4/10 behind. This is about the same gap as last time. He should have the run through spoon. This is where he was so quick at the start of the race. And now he's lining it up. He's got to absolutely nail this traction zone here. He's close, he's close. He's nailed the traction. And now here comes Foggy in the slipstream. Any chance into 130R. Warming him, the car, Woodward gets out of the way. Foggy so close. Brandon. Surely he's got to defend into the Casio triangle. Brandon defends. To the outside goes Foggy. Can he go round the outside here? He tries it. He can't make it. Can he get the traction on the exit? It's going to be Johnny Brandon, surely, to take the race victory. His 6th of the season, and Brandon gets it. What a race. Foggy in 2nd place. Wow, Marco, that really was the finish we all wanted.
2 hours of racing and we get this amazing finish.
It's right on the knife edge right now. Brandon closes in the championship, but the race results today, Johnny Brandon, what a race. Pulled off the 2-stopper. We'll never know, I guess, which was faster, the 2-stopper or the 3-stopper, because in the end, they are separated by less than a 10th of a second. Stephen Latsmore, great drive from him. Gotta give a shout out to him. 16.5 seconds off the lead, and he was quite a bit behind actually after the first few laps, so brilliant drive from Stephen to come home in 3rd. I think that's probably his best result of the season, so well done to him. Michael Avdoka, it could have been better, it could have been worse. I must say, I'm not sure if he had the pace of the top 2 out there. Early on, he seemed to be struggling against Foggy, but I think he'll take that 4th place after that terrifying moment down the pit straight. Tony Klusman comes home in 5th after getting pole position. That strategy just never worked out for Tony, and he just lacked a little bit of pace. Also, a penalty in the pit stop that cost him as well. Michel Ricci, good debut for him in 6th position. Chris Jackson comes home in 7th. Could have been a 4th for him, but he was super unlucky out there with that contact. Jamie McKnight come home in 8th. Jose Borges, another good race from him in 9th. Anthony Woodward comes home in 10th. Richard Warmingham, very kind of on his own race out there in 11th.
But obviously there wasn't a lot in it. I wasn't planning to do the 2-stop. I just didn't quite do as well as I'd hoped in quali. So after the first stint behind the top 3, I was saving so much fuel, lifting and coasting everywhere. I thought I might as well go for it. I did start worrying in the second stint because I was lifting and coasting so much more to try and make those laps, but paid off in the end. So happy days.
Oh yes, most definitely. Happy to get a 3rd. I wasn't too confident coming into this round. This track, cars, lights everywhere. Typical slippery Japanese track. But yeah, strategy worked out for me in the long run.
In the final 5 rounds, final 2 meetings coming up in the next month here on Apex Racing TV. From me, Marco and Alex, we will see you in 2 weeks' time at Kota for the penultimate round of the season. Welcome back to the BSR Grand Tour here at Motegi, the penultimate round of the championship prior to the Showdown. And we just saw an awesome first race of the evening. It was Michael Avdoka taking the race victory. He got the move on Richard Warmium midway through the race, didn't he, Marco? And from then on, it was a very well-managed drive. A similar drive that we saw at Interlagos, where he actually pulled off the move against Warmium there as well. And it does show that whilst Michael got a bit of a slow start in this championship, he's really grown, I'd say, in his racecraft more than anything else in these GT3 cars.
Well, I think this is the most important and most difficult race of the evening, Sam, because no mistakes are allowed. You know, if you don't perform well in race 1, you can opt with the reverse and then have a good starting position for race 2. But here, you have to finish in a good position not only for this race, but also for the next one, to get the good starting position in the longer race of the evening, race 3. So it's going to be important to stay there, don't make mistakes, stay on the lead lap, and don't damage your car, because if you go in and get that fast repair in the pits, yes, you can still stay on the lead lap, but you're going to lose points. You're going to lose a lot of time, and with no reverse wheel in place after this race, you're going to have an uphill battle in the third race of the season. So we will have the top finishers from race 1 starting around position 10, 9 and 8, and also we have an interesting curveball because Josh Thompson is here for race 2. He will start at the back, and I think he will debut his brand new McLaren GT3 as this session is over, and I think we are getting ready to show you the grid in just a few seconds.
Yeah, the session has been advanced. I had quite a few useless facts about Japan lined up, but just to give you a small insight, the world's shortest escalator is in the basement of Moore's department store in Kawasaki. Japan only has 5 steps, and it's 32 inches tall, so there you go. On pole position for this second race of the evening is James Underhill. Really good drive from him to just get that 10th place, and it's Scott Malcolm in second. Lee Demet starts in third, season 1 champion. Of course, doesn't look like he's going to contend for the Showdown places. Colin Robinson starts in fourth with it. Is BMW accomplice Rafe Colliner in fifth. And it's Stuart McFadden. He had some great defense in the last race. You're going to need some good attack now. Jamie Ayres was very strong in 7th. Steve Lavelli starts in 8th, Richard Warmium 9th, and race 1 winner Michael Avdoka starts in 10th. And behind that's Anthony Jacobson, Max Wright, Lee Woodburn, Kip Stevens, Lane O'Connor, and Josh Thompson rounding out the field, who I think is in the McLaren. And what do you think Thompson can do from that back row of the grid? He's got to be, I wouldn't put him out of a potential podium, I must say.
Well, he can be fast in any car. He will have to adapt, of course, to the McLaren. As you can already see, the flames coming out of the back end of his car. You have to adapt to your car, yes, but he can be fast in anything. So I'm expecting a lot of action from him. He already has a livery, so I think he will be absolutely a guy to follow in this race.
So James Underhill round the final chicane now. Scott Malcolm along with him. They haven't gone too early here. When will he go? James Underhill from the pole position, and away we go for race 2 of the evening. It's not a great start. No, so they haven't gone. They all got on the brakes. And have gone. That was chaos, and Underhill has gotten a horrendous start. Deemer also got a poor start. It's Malcolm leading the race, but I wonder if that's going to be a jump start for him. There could be contact, and there is contact. The XBR driver round. Ayres was in there as well. I think that was Lavelli getting turned round, I think. Or, yeah, I'm not quite sure. It was the next XBR driver. Anyway, it's a really chaotic start. You can see Thompson making his way through the field there. And, yeah, just on the inside of Big Cullen, and it was Lavelli, I think he may have been getting spun around. But it's Malcolm in the lead with Robinson right on his tail. McFadden perhaps sees a potential race victory. Stuart McFadden down the inside of Colin Robinson, and they go into turn 5 now. And he has got that position. Lee Deemer trying to pressure James Underhill. So it wasn't too bad a start for those two, but they've lost 2 and 3 positions respectively as we head into this chicane.
Man, if you look at the live timing on the website, you have the link in the stream. You see on the right side, it's all blue, all overtakes registered by our system. It's been a chaotic start, to say the least. I don't know what happened there, and I am very surprised that there was nothing major because you know.
Change for the lead, so
Change for the lead. Yeah, McFadden is in the lead. Ferrari is in the lead.
yeah, is there any response from Malcolm? Perhaps. I don't think there is. McFadden, who was so strong at defence in the last race, I thought he was going to have to be good at overtaking. He's gained 5 positions. We're not even at the end of the opening lap. Abdoka is going to go for a move. He is going to really be chasing down McFadden later on. He's now up into 5th position, up 5 places himself. Underhill is now down 6. What a chaotic first lap this is. And Deemer's gone for the move. And that's a great move from Lee Deemer on Colin Robinson.
And Malcolm went straight for the box, so he has a penalty. Well, I'm not surprised because that was an absolutely chaotic start and it was just a matter of time. Oh, there's contact once again. Man, this is all happening. So there was no big crash, but there was a penalty, sadly, for Malcolm there. And that's unfortunate, of course, because you never want this to happen. And something must have happened there because they were 5 wide at some point, I think, on the start-finish line. Let's see the replay. See Malcolm.
Start, I think. You'll see he's just too far ahead. He goes too early.
And that's why we say on the oval side of things, and I think this also applies to the road side of things. Never wait for the green flag to drop if you are the leader, because this is only going to create chaos behind you. Everybody will bunch up and we are... Oh, 2 cars out of the race there. Underhill and Birmingham are in the grass. No damage, I think only an off. Don't know if they touched. Let's see the replay.
So we had to see Richard Warren get caught up in an instant. And yeah, that's put his showdown chances maybe in a bit of jeopardy.
Synchronized spinning there. No contact, I think, between the 2 guys. Underhill was starting from pole position. Remember, even though he had the bad start, and I think also Woodburn got a black flag. I don't know, because he went straight for the pits at the beginning of the race. I don't know what happened there. He's back on the track, I think, albeit 1 lap down.
Yeah, maybe he just missed the race start or something.
He went on the right on the final corner. He pulled straight for the pits. So very strange. I don't think he got a black flag because it was very, very early, way before the green flag dropped. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe he forgot to put some fuel in the car. That must be what happened. As we see Abdoka already flashing his lights towards McFadden in the lead, as Deemer is getting closer and closer, and we see Kip Stevens in his yellow Audi trying to pass Jacobson right in front of him.
Yep, Stevens up 3 positions from his start. Looking for his 4th now on Anthony Jacobson. Jacobson, he's still got a chance at the showdown with a couple of drivers missing this round. Can just get maybe a couple of more top 8s today. He might just be able to accumulate the points to give himself a chance going into Phillip Island next week. But he really does need to hang on to whatever positions he can, does Anthony Jacobson. And Lane O'Connor coming back strongly. I don't know who that XVR driver who was spun around earlier on was. I think it must have been Lavelli, and down the inside goes O'Connor, so that was on Kip Stevens. O'Connor up into 11th place, really showing strong pace today.
Yeah, Josh Thompson is already up to 6th position. Talking about the McLaren just a bit, you know, it's one of the older GT3s we have here on iRacing, and it's a very nice car, but you have to be very, very, very clean while you drive it, because sometimes it just wants to step from under you, especially the back end. And in some corners, for example the S section at Watkins Glen, it can be a handful to keep it on the track. But Thompson is a very, very skilled driver and is now trying to go around Robinson right in front of him.
Robinson must have had a slowdown, I think, because he was so slow going into the final section of corners, and down the inside goes Josh Thompson now. So that was pretty easy for him, not showing necessarily the dominating pace that we sometimes see. Maybe just getting used to that car. I doubt has done too much practice for this event today. For the lead, McFadden's under big pressure from Michael Avdoka, I think. I see Jake. Michael Avdoka in second position, and it's only 0.2 of a second, but McFadden's been so strong at defending today. Avdoka is usually quite an aggressive driver, and when an unstoppable force meets an unmovable object, it doesn't usually end well.
Yeah, like Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. You said Jacobson, and maybe because you saw him going to the pits, so I think he was one of the guys that got a penalty at the beginning of the race. He's out of the pits already, but of course he is way behind, just in front of Malcolm and Woodburn. Avdoka knows that he has the pace to pass McFadden that we saw in race 1. Like you said, McFadden extremely hard to get around. He is going to be very defensive here on the inside. Let's see what Avdoka has in store for him.
Going defensive straight away with Stuart McFadden. You can just about muscle your way around the outside here, and Avdoka's going to try to do it. He's going round the outside here, and that's going to be an awesome move from Avdoka. McFadden tries to force him off, and now it's going to be side by side going into this next section of course. If McFadden can just hang it round the outside, he's going to have a chance. Avdoka trying to stay in there, but just cutting him off is McFadden. Now heading down this pit straight, and I'm sure McFadden will go right to the inside, right to the pit wall. Avdoka looks to the inside. He cannot find a way through. And whilst these two fight, we're going to see a repetition of the first race with other drivers getting involved.
Exactly, and you see Avdoka flashing his headlights to McFadden, and there Ayres is flashing his lights to Avdoka as they go once again back to the double left-hander here that will bring them under the bridge for the first time of the 2 times they get under the bridge.
Oh, he's going to crash!
Hard hit for Avdoka.
And I think, well, I'd be surprised if he doesn't need to use his fast repair later on, because, yeah, that's crucial damage, and that looked like it was going to be in the corner of the car.
He hit that ball at home.
Wasn't it?
Look at that, he went on the grass, lost the drive a little bit even on the sand, and that was a very hard hit, and he's holding the wheel, you see on the right side, to go straight, so I think he's in a bit of trouble. He's a very talented driver, so he will try his best to stay on track and not go for that fast repair, but I think he will have to check his lap times and see if he pits or not. So McFadden is still there. Everybody crashes behind him, and he stays almost always in front. And now Jamie Ayres is going to try to be the next guy to pass McFadden.
Yeah, and Lee Deemer in with a chance as well. And say to Josh Thompson, I said that I wouldn't rule Thompson out of a potential podium. And here he is. And of course, like you said earlier on, Marque, this race is so crucial because it does decide the starting positions for race 3. So if Avdoka can just finish maybe in 6th position, I would not rule him out of a potential race 3 victory. But a Joe who's thinking of the race 2 victory right now would be Josh Thompson. He's right on the tail of Lee Deemer. He's going to not qualify for the showdown. Either of these drivers, and Josh Thompson is going to look to the inside. Lee Deemer not putting up much of a fight, and Thompson moves up into the top 3 positions. And with the way that McFadden's going to bound to defend against Jamie Ayres, he's right in with a chance today, is Josh Thompson.
Yeah, that flaming McLaren is absolutely flying right now. And he's only 1.7 seconds behind the Mercedes of Jamie Ayres. So absolutely, with half of the race still left, is in contention for the race win. As Avdoka is holding on to his car in 6th position, and he's lapping in the 46. Colin Robinson is in the 48th. So for now, it looks like Avdoka will be able to hold on to 6th position even with a damaged car and maybe have a chance at winning race 3. Let's concentrate on race 2, I say, and see what these guys at the front can do.
Oh, McFadden's made a mistake, so
yeah, Ayres from tire squeal.
He's off the circuit, and he's managed to force Jamie Ayres off. McFadden is defending with all his might. Down the hill they go. And McFadden's going to retain the lead. I don't know if we could just see a replay once we get a moment to breathe of what happened to McFadden there, because he was quite comfortable in the lead, seemingly had the pace to fend off his rival. But now, this is super close. This is where McFadden hit Lane O'Connor in the last race. And look at Thompson. He's gaining. Not going to be in with a chance into turn 1, but someone who does fancy his chances is Jamie. And now Thompson's going to go through 1. He's going to go through 2 maybe. This would be an incredible overtake. Josh Thompson takes the lead of the race from absolutely nowhere, and it's only taken him a handful of laps to go from the back of the grid to the front of the grid. And whilst these two carry on fighting once against one another, and there's going to be contact. Ayres is round. Demon moves up a position. Thompson in the lead.
And flashing his light is Jamie Ayres, not happy, but what a move from Josh Thompson there. Absolutely amazing, using the two dueling drivers as a pick basically, and getting into the corner in third position and getting out of it in first position, as we see more contact there. I think that was Max Wright in his red car. Oh,
contact.
Stevens, save it. Oh man, in the gravel, 3 wide there, wasn't going to work. And the Audi is in the grass.
Yeah, so was that with Max Wright then, that contact?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
There was contact under the bridge there, and Max Wright lost a lot of positions there, and then there was this contact once again as McFadden is defending now from La Valle. And now he's blinking.
Yeah, we haven't talked too much about Labelli, and actually this time McFadden not defending. That's very uncharacteristic of him today. A little bit of contact there, not deliberate from McFadden, I'm sure. And now Labelli up into second place, and yeah, like I said, we haven't talked about him too much today. He's very kind of calmly and quietly made his way through the field, and usually I don't say this, but I think he might be able to chase down Josh Thompson.
We'll see. He kept his hair clean. He's got a third position in race 1. He lapped faster than Thompson in this race, in this lap. Although we have had a couple of slow corners for both drivers because they were making overtakes. And La Valle now he has to watch his back because McFadden may want that position back. We'll see. This lap will be crucial if La Valle wants to go and catch Thompson, because he has to put a gap between himself and third position and then try to focus on the car in front. Oh, he's a bit wide there. Ferrari is right behind him, but no space for a move in that corner.
Yeah, he needs to absolutely nail every corner if he's going to catch and pass Josh Thompson. We've only got 6 more minutes of this race left. Now this has absolutely flown by. Seemingly, Michael Avdoka's got really no side effects from that damage, because he was really fast. He was the only driver actually on the entire check. He was in the 47s on that last lap, and he's going to be chasing down Stuart McFadden once again. It didn't end too well the last time those two fought against each other. And Avdoka will be looking for a P3, which would put him right in line for a potential victory in race 3. But just looking at the gap between Lavelli and Thompson in Sector 4, and there are 6 sectors. Sector 4, Lavelli nearly 2 tenths faster, and he is closing in. Sector 5, another 2 tenths faster. So yeah, I think he's really got the pace to go do this one, has Steve.
I think so. One word with about Avdoka, maybe that Mercedes is built extremely strong, because that was a very, very hard hit. But you are right, he's getting closer and closer to McFadden, so he's not feeling any effects, or not too many effects from that big crash. 47.8 for Thompson, 47.7 for Lavelli, and Avdoka took 4 tenths of a second of McFadden in this lap, and I think he will try to line up a move here, Michael Avdoka, on the Ferrari in front of him. So Lavelli needs to push just a little bit more because there's not much time, but I think that Avdoka has a great chance of finishing on the podium.
Lavelli is certainly, well, I say that, on this lap he's just lost about a tenth of a second. Sector 1 he was half a tenth faster. Sector 2 he lost 2 tenths of a second. It's just throwing in a small couple of errors, just a couple of slides, I think, is Steve Lavelli, and he can't afford to do that, and that gap now is up to 1.8 seconds larger than it's been for the entire race. Richard Warren's very close on Lane O'Connor out there. And yesterday we did see a little bit of team orders from the XVR drivers. Richard Warren in that case actually having to let past a couple of his teammates. It was Johnny Brendan and Nico Foggy. Didn't take away his second place finish though in that race. What an amazing race that was in the year of the 8s, but there he has got past Lane O'Connor, and he's another driver who just wants to finish up the grid so that he has a chance in race 3.
Evdoka extremely close to McFadden there, yet to lift, otherwise there would have been contact.
Oh, Lavelli's off.
Lavelli is off. Lavelli had a very bad corner.
Oh, he's off
around
again, and he's
in
hit the wall.
And the engine is gone on that car. That will be his race, I think. And he's compromising his race 3 as well. Just one little mistake has huge effects on the rest of his evening.
Well, he looked so strong, didn't he? And just lost it early on there. Maybe overheated the tyres a little bit. I just got on the grass and it's clumsy there. Similar to what Evdoka did, but with far worse consequences. And from looking like he could maybe get a race 2 victory and would be the favourite for race 3. Both of those races are now in absolute tatters.
Also, McFadden has got a little bit of a gap on Evdoka, maybe because Evdoka was checking up to avoid the spinning car. I don't know, but Jamie Ayres also coming back, trying to get a position on Robinson there. Lee Dimmer is quite comfortable in 4th position. So, with little more than 2 minutes to go, I think that Thompson will get the white flag this time around, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think so. Oh, actually, he might be able to eke one more out. 1 minute 47 lap. And we are just going, yeah, 2 minutes 5. No, he should be able to get one more lap. 2 more laps to go with Josh Thompson. Evdoka's right back onto the tail of Stuart McFadden though. They are nearly 6 seconds off the lead, and look how close Evdoka is now. He's got a little bit of aero damage. Is that going to compromise maybe his straight line speed and compromise his chances at an overtake into turn 1? He wasn't really close enough to have a look, and he's trying to go to the inside through turn 2. Heading down to turn 3 now. Dimo's just been watching this for the entire race. Ayres trying to make his way up through the field as well. He could still get a podium perhaps on this. Evdoka looking each way and running into the back of McFadden a little bit there. And he's gone off to the grass. That's where he had his spin earlier on. How this race would have been so different if it weren't for that mistake. Evdoka to the outside into turn 4. Again running into the back of the Ferrari. Switching ways now, these two drivers heading up to the chicanes. No letting off of these drivers, and McFadden goes super defensive again. Evdoka cannot find a way through, and this is quickly turning into a repeat of race 1. We're going to have a 5-car battle imminently.
Exactly, Dimmer is getting closer and closer now on the outside. Evdoka, impossible to pass there.
Ayres got Robinson, sorry, just behind. You can just see that in the background, and Ayres will be thinking he can so get a podium from this if he can just capitalise from these drivers fighting.
Now another long straight here, of course, going down the hill. Let's see how will McFadden defend, of course, like he always does, all on the inside. Great run from Evdoka.
This is a repeat of the situation they had earlier on in the race, but Evdoka that time didn't feel the confidence to stick it on the inside. To be fair, McFadden was super late on the brakes, and that's compromised his run coming out of the final corner. And Evdoka sees a gap down the inside, but McFadden was not going to give him that gap. And Evdoka growing a little bit frustrated, and he's taking a slightly surprising line down into turn 1. This was the last lap of the race. Dimmer tries to go for a move, and Evdoka's a little bit late in covering off, almost blocking off the Mercedes, and he might run into the side of McFadden. He has done. McFadden gets back the right way, but he's lost 2 positions straight away there. He might lose 4. Evdoka into 2nd place.
Wow. And now Ayres is flashing his lights at Dimmer, so in the end Evdoka moved McFadden out of the way there. It was going, I mean, you were right, it was pretty clear from his body language that he was getting restless. And now a dive bomb
he's
from
hit him,
Javier,
I think.
and somebody's around. Yeah, it's Dimmer. Dimmer in the grass.
He's done so well, just not getting involved in incidents, but this, on the final lap of the race, has cost him, and he's down into P7 behind Richard Warmingham.
Wow, all happening in this final lap. Evdoka, Ayers, this is the podium, of course, and Thompson is in first position, but now McFadden wants to get that podium back. Let's see, one corner, maybe two corners left for him to get moved on, as Thompson is going to win this second race.
Yeah, Josh Thompson coming round the final complex of corners now. In that McLaren, he's not going to challenge the championship now, but Josh Thompson crosses the line to win at Motegi. Race 2 of the evening goes his way, just behind Michael Evdoka, 10 seconds behind, sorry. And he is going to take home that second position. I think Jamie S is going to hold on to third against Stuart McFadden. Not too many other battles going on down the field in these closing stages. But what a race that was, Marco. Plenty of contact once again. And again, I think the difficulty of overtaking around here really does add to the racing.
Absolutely fantastic race from Motegi, and Josh Thompson starting from the back, he came out all the way on top. He was helped a little bit by that frantic start that caused many drivers to lose positions, but he was fantastic. He gained a lot of spots, made some great moves. That pass for the lead was absolutely fantastic, and he gets a very, very well-deserved podium. Evdoka second, Ayers in third. It's going to be interesting to see the post-race reaction, especially from McFadden, who was defending so well and then finished the race in fourth place.
Yeah, I don't know if we could just get a replay of that Evdoka tap in on that last lap, just on board with Michael Evdoka. Just see his perspective of it, because there was a similar situation in the last race with McFadden actually hitting O'Connor, and here was Evdoka. Oh, he was just too late on the brakes, wasn't he, Marco? And it was clumsy once again, certainly not intentional, but just a bit of a rush of blood to the head, I guess, there from Michael.
Yeah, like you said, he was showing signs of being, unhappy, and he wanted to make the move. He was getting restless about the very hard but fair defending of McFadden, and sometimes you get a little bit too eager to make that pass, and sadly that's why we had a crash there.
Yeah, and he's going to be starting on the front row for the third race of the evening. There'll be Josh Thompson starting on pole position. What a race that could be. We'll be back in about 20 minutes time for the final race here from Motegi in the BSR Grand Tour. and he will get his foot down any moment now as the pace car pulls in. Tony Klusman waits to apply the throttle, and there he goes. It's not a brilliant launch for him, and Michael Abdoka's right on his tail. Can he get into the slipstreams? Just side by side between Foggy, but Klusman hangs on to the inside. Abdoka not taking too many risks, and down the inside for Klusman. It's a good start for him, just holding on against Abdoka. Foggy into third, Granton fourth, Jackson fifth, Lutzmore sixth.
And Dalle Donne goes around at the chicane, is bringing the car back onto the track, but he lost a lot of positions there, too aggressive, as I said, inexperienced with his cars, and it showed here.
And Abdoka leads this race, and now Foggy's looking for any opportunity to get past. Brandon looking racy as well in fourth. Klusman, he's not used to this, being overtaken on just the second lap, but seems to be that Abdoka has certainly the pace to win this race. Down the inside goes Klusman. Abdoka not building up a lead. And the pace car will come in, the unique pit entry hit. We don't have to worry about the pits in this first race. 20 minutes, and Josh Thompson is away. And it's a very good start for Josh Thompson. He's ahead of Rich Kapenki. Michael Abdoka having to defend from Anwar Smith in the background. And Evdoka just about holds on for now, but Thompson scorching away from the rest of the field. Now, is there any challenge that Gafenku can mount going into turn 2? Defensive goes Thompson. Into turn 2 they go. You can't go around the outside too easily here. Evdoka trying to get involved as well, the two Mercedes. If anything, making a little bit of contact through there. And once again, Thompson's going to be vulnerable down this back straight.
But oh, they've got somebody diving down the inside, and that's the 505, Chris Daines. Made an ambitious move and made it work there as well. So really good driving from these drivers. Only the odd little bit of contact further back. But everybody keeping it clean. Josh Thompson had to go defensive there. That Mercedes has got a lot of grunt. And on those higher speed sections, that's where it really comes into its advantage. I mean, if you're in a sprint race, you can't really play too many team games. As look at that, Gafenku all over the grass. That's giving Evdoka the opportunity to look down the outside. And if Willie go around the outside here, he should carry the speed a little bit more. And yes, he's getting in front. He's squeezing Gafenku into that right-hander, and he's got the job done up into second place. Hold that inside line there. Don't let him through. And now the two Youth Energy drivers right together with each other.
And yeah, he lost a position to Max Jamiez going down the field.
Yeah, he spun it in turn 1 there. So easy to do because it's a relatively medium to high speed corner. We've got another car right across the track, and that was Lee Deemer. He's had a bit of an issue at turn number 1 as well.
Oh,
so
wow.
Multiple issues for drivers. It was Deemer, I think, trying to avoid Jamie Ayres, sending it round. Didn't touch the wall, so that's really crucial for the time being. But the cutback now, the Mercedes, get your nose in there, get in between him and the edge of the course, but he hasn't been able to do that. So Ayres is going to have to go the long way around here into this this tricky braking zone, and contact between the two of them.
Yeah, this will be interesting. On board with Cullinan, does he squeeze his opponent? He comes across a bit, doesn't he? But I don't know how to call that one.
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Remember, as Anwar Smith is going slowly here. What's happened to Anwar Smith here?
But Josh Thompson is going around the final corner here, and he's going to take another victory for this season. Josh Thompson across the line, and that's a fantastic drive here at Mid-Ohio. Not a good day whatsoever for Lee Deemer, and here it was. So a little bit of contact beforehand, and oh, you don't want to go side by side through here, and yeah, that's the elevation change, and that's a hit with the ball. Could well be what he needs, because remember, the finishing results of this race will decide the starting positions for the final race of the evening. Anwar Smith, when will he go? The green flag comes out early here, and Smith has absolutely nailed that start. Max Wright in second position with Chris Daines already overtaking Colin Robinson for third position. But here is Thompson trying to go round the outside of Steve Leverley. This is going to be a difficult one to pull off. Round the outside he goes, and he might even have a go at Gafenku as well, and he's somehow holding on to it. Evdoka trying to get involved. The XBR drivers nearly colliding into each other, and still it's not over, but Thompson somehow makes that move.
He's done that all himself, by the way. I happened to look at him when he happened to do that live, and Jared Jewell and Lee Deemer have come together as well. So a little bit of shenanigans happening here on lap 3 of this race.
Not a good day for Lee Deemer so far. Here it was.
Gafenku trying his best to get past Max Wright. We saw how difficult that was to happen in the first race. And here comes Thompson looking to the inside. Not the room there because of the pit wall being there, but he's going to try and hang it out around the outside. This is his best opportunity. Carry that speed all the way into the next corner. A little bit of rubbing going on here, but into the next corner they go, into that hairpin, and Thompson has got the job done finally. Yeah, certainly really good racing going on here with these guys coming through the field. And well, here's the opportunity there for Thompson. He's looking down the inside, the sweeping right-hander. It's a tricky part of the track to do this, and I tell you what, he's done a brilliant job there because he's got Max between him and Kafenko now. That is excellent overtaking opportunist, and well, now he's going to try and waltz away.
Maybe that's overtaking not in his comfort zone, but right now, can he make the move on Colin Robinson? There's contact just ahead as well, I think, and off the circuit, oh, they're all over the place. Kafenko off the circuit, Wright's off the circuit, Dane's off the circuit.
Yeah, Wright and Kafenko got into each other there, and I think Chris Danes just spun in sympathy with that one. So, yeah, not been a good day for Chris there.
Max Wright does just have to stay behind, but yeah, if he can get Wright, could get Malcolm, and then could get Cullinan, but yeah. Oh, and wide is Malcolm, and Abdulka might be able to gain 2 positions here. So Scott, Malcolm, oh, that was a bit of a curse, wasn't it? Sorry, Scott. And yeah, both Wright and Abdulka gain a position.
Jimmy Ayres is off.
Not again.
The exit of turn 1, and he's run it wide on the exit of turn 1, hit the grass, hit some bumps there, and he's gone heavily into the Armco barrier there. He's going to try and carry on with that one, but he's got significant damage to the front of that car, and I'll be amazed if he's knocked down quite a bit of power with that amount of damage there.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a better run on the power slightly earlier, but it wasn't a perfect run, but now he has, and he's closing in, not too much damage on the bonnet of that Mercedes. Around the outside goes Michael Abdulka. This is where he made the mistake earlier on. No mistake this time. He makes the move on Ray Cullinan, so up into P7. This one, he's just started the final lap of the race, lap 16, and contact between Underhill and Malcolm. And yeah, that move doesn't work, does it? So not a good one for Anthony, but Anwar Smith is a couple of corners away. Does Josh Thompson have anything to offer? He's running out of corners to it. The gap was up at about 8 seconds at one point. It is down to about 3/10 now. But Anwar Smith has got this one just about in hand. He will cross the line for race 2 of the evening to take the race victory. Really good job from Anwar Smith. Perfectly driven, pulling away early on, and he just about had enough pace to hold off a charging Josh Thompson in the closing stages. It's clearly Underhill's had a bit of an issue up there. Underhill's just lost a position to Lee Deemer, and Underhill has got a big issue up there. Is that fuel?
It's accelerating.
Oh, he's fine.
He's going again.
He's laying past Malcolm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Scott's going, no, after you. No, after you. How very
and
British.
Dane's nearly got the pair of them.
Scott ended up losing out that position by 100th of a second there. But how awfully British of the both of them.
Yes, it's going to help out Josh Thompson, obviously. He will lead them round, just like in the first race. Michael Abdulka right up there, and there's already a spinner. It's Abdulka and Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Ah, not a great start, but yeah, haven't lost too much time, those two. Smith hanging on currently. Jamie Ayres is up into second position, and there's more contact, again involving Abdulka, and we've got a lot of cars involved in this one. Cullinan, Jacobson, Danes, the big loser, and also Max Wright as well in the background in the Ferrari.
Can we restart this one?
But I think that's the reason why, and thank you off the circuit as well. No one of the front row, and that's clumsy from Richard. Yeah, that had nothing to do with
whether he's whether he's got damage and he's not realised how much damage.
Oh yeah, it is, to be fair. Yeah, Abdulka's into the pits, and I don't want to say it. I think that might be a slide. That might be a penalty because he cut the second corner considerably on the first lap. I wonder if that's going to be a stop-go penalty for Michael. Malcolm and Cullinan raging on still.
I believe Anwar is racing in World GT this year.
Okay.
Season, should I say? I'll just check that out for you. You carry on talking for a bit.
Yes. A move there for Steve Leverley. Cullinan, will he have to go to the outside? Well, Underhill covered this off enough. They've got Stevens just behind. Cullinan to the inside in that BMW, but he's not quite confident on the brakes enough. And round the outside goes Underhill, who will have the inside for the next one, but Cullinan so much more confidence out there. and he should have the inside for this next one. Still Underhill's not giving it up, and could be side by side up the hill. No, it's not. And Stevens down right onto the back bumper of James Underhill. Just looking at.
Gray.
Oh, yeah.
Michael
So he had
Gray.
an off track.
Don't get yourself stuck in the wall there, Michael. Oh, he's managed to get it out there, but yeah, Gray, what? He's just carried a little bit too much speed into that left-hander there.
Welcome back to the BSR Grand Tour here at Motegi, live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and alongside me is Michael Barbanet with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And we are just lining up for race 3 of the evening, and it is at night. Just an extra factor for all these drivers. Not that they need it, it's typical enough already. And hopefully we'll be in for some race later on. Just gridding up now for the formation lap. But yeah, Marco, we've seen 2 really good races, a lot of incidents and a lot of tight racing. That's what we want to see though.
Great racing, absolutely great racing, great drive by Josh Thompson. He gets pole position as well for this third race of the evening, and the night, of course, always fascinating to run under the dark sky, and I have to say a lot of lights here at Motegi. So it's going to be absolutely amazing to see these cars go in the night, and of course those McLaren flames will be even better under the night sky, as we are almost getting ready. Drivers flashing the red lights, of course. That is going to be very, very useful in this one, and the pace car is ready to go out and into the pits.
Here we go. Evdoka second, Thompson first. Gonna round the final corner. Race 3 of the evening, and away we go. Josh Thompson away really well in Evdoka. I thought he might have a good launch. It hasn't turned out that way because Ayres is pressurizing him into turn 1, but not quite. Ayres just has to back off, and actually Robinson trying to get involved. Robinson, who started this race in 4th position, and he's trying to pressure him down into turn 3 maybe. But it's an awesome start for Josh Thompson, and surprisingly, Marco, after a chaotic second race start, this has been a lot more suitable. Yeah,
and you know, at night you have to maybe have a bit of a adjustment on braking points, etc. As we see, Evdoka very, very aggressive and good defending from Thompson on the inside, as Birmingham tries to attack Robinson, and I think he will be successful in this double right-hander under the bridge.
Nice move from Birmingham, and we could be in for a really fantastic battle, I think, in this third race of the day. I'm hoping for, at least, because I think these top 4 drivers are really equal. On pace, and Scott Malcolm is round. He had an issue in race 2, and that's not what he needs whatsoever. That showdown place is not guaranteed yet, and he's made contact with an XVR driver. I think that's Steve Lavelli there, and maybe just... it's the smallest of taps, and then a rather larger one. And I don't think he complained too much there, Malcolm. He left just about enough space, but you know, on the first lap you can kind of half expect drivers to understeer a little bit through a corner like that.
Absolutely, that was a racing accident, and I think Malcolm will be able to get into the pits for his fast repair later in the race. If Michael Evdoka has raced before, has been any indication that Mercedes can take some hits on the side, let's say. Let's put it this way, as the top 3 are extremely close, and I really want to see Evdoka do well in this race, and I want to see what his pace is.
Oh, he's hit him!
Oh,
that
man.
was very clumsy from Jamie Ayres, but Evdoka's kind of got away with it. He's going to lose out to Robinson and Dima. We've seen a lot of contact there, and Ayres is apologising a lot there profusely.
You think that flashing the lights is code for apologizing? Oh, everybody's wide there, by the way.
Well, Ayres wants to have another bite at the apple, and it's side by side just ahead as well. Dima, after kind of losing out on the last lap in the last race, He is up 3 positions, up into P3, and that's an awesome move from Michael Dockett down the inside into turn 4, and Robinson actually is going to be under pressure from the couple of cars behind now. And yeah, Ayres trying to make his way through up, and Cullinan trying to get involved as well, and he's going to go for a move on Lane O'Connor. All these drivers have shown really good pace today, but after all that collisions, it does mean that Richard Warring's up 3 positions from his start. He's up into the top 2.
Now I'll say one thing, if you know you have Josh Thompson in the lead and how fast he is, this is the last thing you want to do if you are F-Dog, Ayres and all these drivers, and that is having contacts that slow down everybody, and of course this will make Josh Thompson race much easier if they keep battling like this. Even though Mr. Wormingham is getting closer and closer to Thompson, who might have made a mistake in this lap, and now is 0.7 of a second away, I think, Wormingham from Thompson. Thompson, I saw him have a little bit of an off track on the live timing, so maybe he lost a bit of time there as we begin the 3rd lap of this 35-minute race. Remember that we are expecting pit stop from all the drivers.
Oh, Docker a little bit slow out of that final corner, and it's invulnerable, and Ayres, don't go into the back of him again. He is going to get past Colin Robinson, I think, though. Robinson, yeah, no point getting involved in collision. He just needs to pick up a few more points. So too does Jamie Ayres, because, yeah, going into this race, he was not in the top 6, and that's what the majority of these drivers, at least, will be caring about right now. Robinson all over the place, actually, and had a poor lap or so. And from running ahead of Dima, I think at one point he's all the way down into 6th place, and under pressure from O'Connor going into turn 4, and O'Connor has made that one with ease. Although Robinson's going to try to stay around the outside, almost gets a bit shoved off the circuit. Cullinan is just watching behind with Underhill trying to get involved as well.
Now for the record, last lap 47.6 for Thompson, 47.0 for Wormingham. So, like I said, a mistake somewhere for Josh Thompson. As we see this great battling here with Underhill, Stevens, Cullinan and all these other guys that are rounding up the top 10. And I think, Sam, that yeah, Wormingham is able to keep up with Thompson. So we might have a battle for the lead between these two drivers, and we'll see if Dimer, Evdoka and company will be able to catch back to them, even though the gap is almost 5 seconds between the leaders and 3rd place. As Evdoka tries to get that podium spot back here, and he gets it pretty easily at the hairpin.
Yeah, Doka's...
Right-hander.
Yes, Doka's got a good chance at the race victory, I think, still, especially if the top 2 start fighting one another. But I think, of all the races this season, we've seen a lot of great overtakes from Josh Thompson, but I think today has shown more than ever how he is so good with his race car. The fact that I don't think he's even the fastest driver out there. I think he's probably slower than Warming, slower than Evdoka, and slower than Ayres out there, and yet he went from last on the grid to the race victory comfortably in race 2, and he's still leading in race 3. Shows how much, how good his overtaking and his race car is, and I don't think he's made contact with anyone since he turned up for race 2, so really does show what a class driver Josh Thompson is. But Richard Wormingham seems significantly faster, I would say, at least, Marco. But I do always bang on about it, but Wormingham's overtaking sometimes can be a little bit careful. He has got to be fully committed if he's going to take this race lead.
Especially against a ruthless driver like Thompson. In this past lap, Wormingham was the only guy and the first guy to get under the 47. He had a 46.98 fastest lap of the race, and he's, you can see, 0.3 of a second behind the McLaren there. He is extremely fast, and Evdoka is closing, but not by much, even though, once again, 35-minute race, there's a lot of time, and of course the strategy will play a huge part in this one.
Yeah, and what strategic cards can these drivers pull? Because these two drivers, Thompson and Wormingham, were fighting nail to nail. Is that saying nail to? It's not nail to nail, is it? It's something else. Toe to toe. Yesterday in the Euro V8, and that was very different equipment, very different circuit, and that was Wormingham. Oh dear. So many drivers have done that, Marco. Getting on the grass, and it's just, guys, stay within the white lines, because it's suicide going up there.
Absolutely, and as Lee Dimmer is the first guy to get into the pits, and I think it is a regular stop. We'll see how long will it take, so we have a baseline to compare the other drivers to. Let's see, he gets in, will be a splash of fuel and out. Let's see, counter goes up, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 seconds. 12 seconds. We'll see if these drivers will, the other drivers, will put in more, less, or the same amount of fuel. What we know,
Maybe-
I think. Sorry, Sam. What we know, I think that from this point on, if you stop, you are good on fuel.
Yes, I think so. I think that's a really smart choice by Lee Dean. I was just going to interrupt because Kip Stevens, I think, was going for a move on James Underhill, and just behind as well, Steve Lavelli, who's really out of position. One of the fastest drivers out on the track right now, but yet he's still down in 10th place at the moment. Really should be a lot higher. Hasn't really made the progress. He would have wanted to start in 14th place. But just showing the difficulty of overtaking here at Motegi, and might go for a move on Stevens. Not quite brave enough. Stevens taking a slightly earlier apex. That opportunity was not open for him. Just looking at the race lead once again, Josh Thompson leads by 1.1 seconds. And of course that mistake from Richard Warming lost him about half a second on the last lap. I think they've been pretty even on this lap, and we'll also compare Michael Abdoka's lap time as well. But Josh Thompson will cross the line, and he does a 46.97, Warming a 47.18, and Abdoka a 47.22. So it seems as though as Thompson maybe kind of grows more accustomed to this circuit, he's gaining pace and almost starting to assert a little bit of dominance out here.
Yeah, that was the fastest lap of the race for Josh Thompson. I think that Birmingham's lap time has been hindered by the very bad start of the lap he had, of course, because he went off the track right at the end of the previous lap, so that affected that lap and this lap here. But that was an extremely fast lap by Thompson, and yeah, Birmingham needs to be perfect from now on. Needs to be quick, because if the pace is similar, any mistake you make, you're going to pay for it dearly in terms of positions. So of course, I say it once again, Josh Thompson doesn't need your help to win a race. So you have to be extremely careful, as now we see Underhill and Cullinan once again battling for that 7th position.
Yeah, can you use that kind of grunt from the Mercedes to go for a move? We've seen kind of the power effect out there, quite important. It's really helped a couple of drivers to kind of keep their positions against against the others, and that maybe pace deficit down the straights for kind of is going to be a vulnerability for him. Maybe down the inside goes James Underhill, but no, he hasn't got a kind of a good result today. Underhill, he'd like to gain that position just to give him a chance at a good final race of the evening.
47.1 for Thompson, 47.0 for Birmingham, 47.4 for Abdoka. Slow lap for Michael Abdoka, and he's now back to a 5 seconds gap between himself and Thompson. So Birmingham has been able to close up a little bit, as we see Underhill getting very close to Cullinan there. He's trying to make the move on the BMW. Maybe here, let's see if he will try for a dive bomb. He makes himself be seen on the inside. He goes for the pass. He has the line here on the double left-hander. Don't touch. Oh, and I think Cullinan has been able to... Oh, look at Kip Stevens.
Oh, Stevens might look to the inside. This would be 3 wide into this corner. Stevens is much the wiser. And Cullinan,
Oh, no.
And Cullinan had a spin, and Underhill's been pushed around by Kip Stevens there. Don't know if we could see a replay of what happened there, because I think maybe was a little bit early on the brakes or something. Just had to check up due to this slide from Cullinan. And Underhill, was he trying to go for the cutback there? Because he should have really been able to turn out of the corner there from Stevens, but maybe it was just that slide from Cullinan, which was the final knocks.
Too bad, because that was going to be some great racing between these 3 guys. The 2 guys were battling, and now, sorry, but let's go back to the lead, because Birmingham is 0.5 of a seconds back from Thompson. I think that I don't know if Josh has been able to adapt the car for if he knew that was going to be a night race, if he had the setup ready for a night race. Of course, you have to change tire pressures and some other stuff because the track is a little bit different at night. The fastest lap of the race for Birmingham, 46.8. 47.4 for Thompson, 47.4 for Evdoka. So Evdoka doesn't have an answer for these two guys in front at the moment.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of damage, not going to be helping Evdoka too much. He's just got to hope that there's something going on between these two. But on that last lap, yeah, Warmian just set a really good lap time too. But I think that's the fastest lap of the race. First go into 46.8 for Richard Warmian. And that was just a really strong lap, wasn't too bad, from Josh Thompson. Getting 3/10 in the third sector on that last lap. That was where his big breakthrough came. But so far he hasn't got nearly close enough for an overtaking move. Marco, has he just got to wait for a mistake from Thompson? Because yeah, he doesn't want to exactly lose these two time, because Evdoka will be right onto the back of them in no time.
Even though Evdoka just made a big mistake and lost almost 1 full second, he's now 5.8 seconds back to these guys, so he must have gone a bit wide in one of the corners. You know, Birmingham has the advantage of knowing the car really, really well, and we said Thompson is new to this McLaren, but he wants to do well with the McLaren in the Shadow Championship, with the McLaren Shadow project. So I think that this race, if he has a good show today with this car, we are talking about, of course, the Shadow project, he will be absolutely a force to be reckoned with in that championship as well. But when you are driving a new car, sometimes it does something unexpected, especially at night, even though in this lap 46.7, a fastest lap of the race for Thompson. So while he is fast and while he is shown that he can win with this car like we saw in race 2, you never know what might happen when you're driving a new car for the first time or one of the first times. That unexpected moment, unexpected behavior can always be around the corner, so it's not going to be easy for Josh from now until the end of the race.
Yeah, not often does Josh Thompson start a race from pole position and yet be under so much pressure from behind. But here he is, warming up within 6/10 once again. These two are now 6.5 seconds clear of Michael Evdoka in third position. There's not really any other battles going down the field. There's no cars within about 1 second of one another, but we'll keep you updated if that changes. Still no one apart from Lee Diemer coming into the pits. Actually, no, that's a complete lie, because Steve Labelli has come into the pits and came out ahead of Lee Diemer. So Diemer had a little bit of a slow stop, and it has meant that Steve Labelli is now ahead of him. So he's the front of the drivers who have made a pit stop. So certainly watch out for him later on. But here is Birmingham 7/10 behind, and at least from what I can see, Marco, that McLaren is so fast down the straights. Even in the slipstream that Birmingham will have, he's not gaining whatsoever down these straights.
Yeah, exactly. You saw Birmingham was Thompson was a little bit sideways there coming out of the penultimate corner, and then he straightened his car up. Just a quick heads up concerning the pit stops. Both Lavelli and Jacobson had a stop in the 8-second range, so that was 4 seconds faster than Diemer, of course, as Evdoka goes into the pits.
I think that's a good call from Michael Evdoka, just to mix it up a little bit, get a fresh car, might be able to extract a little bit more pace from it, just because I think he's got a little bit of damage on that car, and because we saw earlier on.
Extremely fast stop.
Yeah, really
5
quick.
seconds. 4.5 seconds. Hopefully he put enough fuel in the car.
Yeah, he's in a lot of traffic though. That's going to be his one issue out there. But boy, does this need to be a good few laps, because earlier on, Marco, we saw Evdoka seemingly faster than Birmingham. So why he's slower than Birmingham now can only be put down to surely that damage.
Yeah, and now of course he has a lot of passes to make, and for example, Kip Stevens is always difficult to pass. Of course he's right to not make it easy.
Leeds really close, so.
Yeah. Extremely close. I think there was a mistake by Birmingham, but he didn't lose a lot of time. I saw him make an off track, and maybe Thompson made a mistake as well, because you see the gap, 0.3 of a second. let's see if Thompson or Warmingham will head for the pits or if they will stay battling on the track.
Yeah, you feel as though Warmingham probably has to pull off something like an undercut if he's going to win this race. Unfortunately, there's not really a pocket of air which he can guarantee himself to get into. Will Thompson come into the pits? Will either of them come into the pits? Thompson stays up, and so too does Warmingham. So they'll go for another lap hit. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. I was going to mention the fuel. I doubt that's going to be a factor. They really can't save too much fuel battling against each one another. But on that last lap, shining in red right in front of me, Marco, Jamie Ayres, 47.73. That's half a second faster than the race leader. Just shows how much pace he had. And, you know, that race 2 could have been his as well. It's just been a day of missed opportunities for Jamie, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And just a quick word for Lee Woodburn. He crashed, I think, and he has teleported back to the pits. So I think we have another retirement after Max Wright, sadly. Yeah, Jamie is extremely fast. Beautiful green Mercedes car here in third position. Underhill is in the pits, 10 seconds for him. So everybody is pitted around from 8 seconds to 12 seconds, except for Evdoka. That 4.5 stop is extremely quick. And I am extremely concerned about his fuel consumption from now until the end of the race. Of course, he probably knows better than me, but still, gotta keep an eye on him because that was extremely short pit stop, as Warmingham is relentless in his pursuit of Thompson, but Thompson is still ahead.
Yeah, Thompson's kind of got used to fighting the XVR drivers in the World GT Championship, which of course will be live on Apex Racing TV tomorrow. I think that's at 8:15 or so, sorry, 7:15 GMT. Certainly catch that one. I always find that final section of corners, Marco, fascinating because I don't think there's 2 drivers on iRacing who take it the same way. There's so many different lines and it's difficult to tell which is the best.
And also it's a corner that if you want to do a dive bomb, that's the place where you can do it. Last lap, you know, you try and go for it as O'Connor is in the pits as well from I think 4th position. You are right, in the straights the McLaren seems to be quicker than the Mercedes. Of course, this has been one of the strong points of the McLaren for a long time, that straight line speed, whilst the Mercedes is certainly the most stable and I would say predictable GT3 in the service right now. And of course, like I always say, this is the beauty of multi-manufacturer, multi-make racing, that every car has its strength and things it does a little bit less good than the other cars. You see Warmingham gets very close in here.
Curveball coming in. On that last lap, on his first fast lap, Michael Evdoka, 46.86. Josh Thompson, 47.61. That's almost a second difference. And here comes Warmingham, actually really close on Thompson. And we look to the inside here. Richard Warmingham, that's been as close as he's been, and he was glancing to the inside and really confused me. I think it's difficult to judge the depth out there, but yeah, on that last lap, Evdoka took a second out of these guys. Within 3 laps, he's going to be right on their tail, potentially. So these two, I don't know if they'll know that or not, but yeah, they better pit relatively soon. Otherwise, Evdoka, he was clearly affected by that damage earlier on, is going to be at least fighting for the race victory in these close stages, if not undercuts both of them.
And this is what Evdoka wants. He wants for these guys to have a battle, because then he's going to gain even more ground on the leaders. And yeah, you are right. They are in danger of getting passed during the pit stop if they are not careful. If I were them, I would head straight for the pits, and hopefully they haven't lost a lot of hope for them. They haven't lost that much time to Evdoka, because otherwise they will be fighting for. Oh, and Stevens is in the fence under the bridge. Very dangerous position. And luckily everybody gets through safely right at the end of the lap. Stevens, I think, will head for the box. Yes.
Yeah, fortunately for him, because he's got that faster pair. But yeah, undoes a little bit of good work there from Kip Stevens. Actually, I was about to say that, but yeah, these XVR drivers have already pitted O'Connor and Labelli. And You know, I don't want to criticise XVR, but we've seen on Apex Racing TV recently they're not above team orders, and I'm not saying that's wrong at all, but this is a situation where that might show, because Lavelli is certainly faster than O'Connor. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if these drivers switch round. Just going to compare once again if Docker's lap time. So if Docker 47.39, he was slower than Thompson on that last lap. 47.32. Ayres 47.18, and actually, yeah, warming up drops off a little bit on that last lap, 1.5 tenths slower. So that momentum that Evdoka showed, he kind of needs to nail a couple more laps because he needs to get right into the 46s if he's going to stand a chance at this race victory.
Yeah, Warmingham made a mistake, I think, on that last lap. I saw his name pop up in red on the live timing, so probably he went, or you can see that also on the minimap on the right side of your screen as Ayres is in. When the driver number, the icon flashes red, it means that the driver has done an off track, as we see the pass from Lavelli on O'Connor. And also Ralph Cullinan, the Irish driver of the BMW, is in as well. Let's see the stop times. For Jamie Ayres, it's going to be an 8-second stop. And for Cullinan, let's see. The clock ticks, 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 and we have a 9-second stop. So nobody has stopped in the area of Evdoka's stop of 5 seconds. Once again, he knows better than me, but that's cutting it very, very close, Sam. I don't know if you agree or not. That's, I mean, just looking at the other times of the pit stops, that's cutting it very, very close.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, he must say something that we don't. Surely that wouldn't have been a mistake from Evdoka just not to put fuel in it. Because yeah, he would have need that faster pair. I don't know how he would have saved fuel in the opening stages. I don't know why he would have saved fuel in the opening stage. I don't know why he would have wanted to save fuel in these stages if he kind of underfilled it a little bit. Who knows what's going on with Michael Evdoka, but if it works, it would mean that if the two drivers ahead of him pitted right now, he would be pretty much neck and neck with them. Oh, Warmingham, was he off the circuit there?
Warmingham is in the pits. Evdoka looked like he made a little bit of a mistake there. I don't know, he was locking the tires for sure. He is still in third position. We'll see how and when Warmingham comes out of the pits, if he's in front or behind number 989 Michael Evdoka, who's in the final chicane right now. It's an 8-second stop for Richard Warmingham. Neck and neck for the position here, and Warmingham is ahead.
Yep, just about had enough to Richard Warmingham. That last lap from Michael Evdoka was a 48.2, so he must have just had a bit of a slide, because if he'd done another couple of 46s, he would have been right there, but instead 2.5 seconds, he's closed that gap from 5 seconds to 2.5 seconds, but it's not been enough. Now, Richard Warmingham has got to put in the lap of his season if he's going to undercut Josh Thompson. Well, keep an eye on the sector times as they go round the circuit, and in sector 2, Warmingham was half a tenth faster, and I think they might be approaching sector 3 just now. And yeah, Thompson with a 15.43, so, and Warmingham a couple of tenths faster, I think. So he is closing in, and yeah, might be able to do enough. Thompson stays out, so no.
No, that's the other
I get confused.
Yeah, these Japanese tracks with all these starting grids like Suzuka left and right. But yeah, he's getting closer to the end of the lap. There's Scott Malcolm in front of him, a little bit ahead. He won't pose any problem, I think, and he's in for the pit stop. So, hopefully the limiter is on at the right time, right amount of fuel. He had a slightly longer stop in the last round at Interlagos, but that was by design.
Oh, Warmingham a little bit sideways there. That could cost him, because they matched each other through sectors 4 and 5, and Josh Thompson still stationary. He's still stationary. It's 11-second stop, and that's surely going to be enough for Richard Warmingham to take the lead of the race. Josh Thompson might even be behind Michael Abducker. He is. He's down into P3 and he's got all the work to do now. What on earth happened for Josh Thompson there? A pit stop some 3 seconds longer than warming up and 7 seconds longer than Abducker.
Yeah, the only longer stop was that very first stop by Lee Deemer at the beginning of the race, if you remember, 12 seconds. So maybe a little bit of a mistake this time from Thompson. We will see. Also, he's a very wide there. Okay, now we have 3 interesting questions from now until the end of the race, which is in just 8 minutes. Is Birmingham going to be able to hold the car in third position? Does F-Dog have enough fuel? And does Thompson have enough pace to make up the 2 positions he just lost? Very interesting race end coming to you. It's been a very entertaining meeting tonight at Motegi, and we still have some laps left of great entertainment here in the BSR Grand Tour.
Oh, Thompson's a little bit clumsy out there. He's going off the circuit, and he really does need to nail every corner now. It's a roles reverse very much. Instead of being the chase, he's now the chaser. It's Josh Thompson. You wonder if Abducker can get to the end of the race, like you were saying, Marco. That's going to be a big question. We saw Abducker make the move on Warmingham in race 1, so we know it's possible. The Warminghams look so strong in this race 3 of the evening, with a little bit of a gap to make up, and with limited time as well, 6 minutes to go. We, who knows who's going to win this one, but right now, you've got to put your money on Rich Warren, because he's been very strong so far today. So he crosses the line, and he got a handful of laps to go. After that, pit stops. Jamie Ayres, of course, still in P4. We kind of expected that a little bit by himself. Steve Lavelli's moved up into 5th position, so a nice little undercut for Steve Lavelli. Of course, we saw that move on Lane O'Connor down into 7th. Colin Robinson runs in 8th, with James Underhill pole sitter in 9th. Also pole sitter in race 1, so race 2. But in 9th. Lee Deemer is in 10th position, with Anthony Jigson in 11th, then Scott Malcolm and Kip Stevens rounding out the field right now. And out in the lead, Birmingham opening up that gap to 2.3 seconds now.
So this lap will be very interesting, because it's the first lap where all 3 drivers at the top will not be have their lap influenced by the pit stop that they've made, so it's hopefully a good reference about their pace. Of course, we've seen Birmingham and Evdoka have and as Evdoka, I think, made a little bit of a mistake there, but also Birmingham is making an off track right now. They lapped 47.2, 47.4 respectively. Thompson, of course, was coming out of the pit, so his 51.0 doesn't really count in the grand scheme of things. This lap will be interesting, as I think Thompson is closing in on Evdoka, but he's not closing in on Birmingham. So maybe Birmingham has a bit of extra pace. We know he's fast, of course, and maybe if the battle between Birmingham, if the battle between Evdoka and Thompson goes on for a bit, he will be able to get an even bigger gap and cruise on to the race victory in the end. Let's see. Interesting 5 minutes or 4 minutes left in this race at Motegi.
Thompson charging down Michael Evdoka on that last lap, warming him 47.46, Evdoka 48.18, Thompson 48.19. I was certain Thompson was faster on that lap. He has got the gap down to 1 second now, as we see Lee Deemer trying to go on a move on James Underhill. And Deemer just had to sit in behind for now.
As Lane O'Connor gets into the pits, he was the last driver without a pit stop. So after he gets out, we will have a clear indication of where everybody stands effectively in the race. Yeah, the gap has come down between Thompson and Evdoka, but the lap time is absolutely baffling, because they had the same pace in this last lap, but quite clearly, you can even see, without looking at the timing, that Thompson is getting closer and closer to the back end of that Mercedes there. And those flames at night on the McLaren look so cool. As you see on the right side of your screen, thanks to Sam Kumu, the pit stop times for the top 7 drivers in this race. And that 4.5 by Evdoka really sticks out.
Yeah, I would not, because his lap times recently I've been a little bit slower, Docker. I don't know if we could just ride on board with him maybe for half a lap or so. Just see if he's lifting and coasting. Because I'm surprised by this downturn in pace because you remember on his first full lap. Oh, he's into the pits.
He's in. Well, that answers our questions. Big mistake by Makolev Doka, uncharacteristic mistake by Makolev Doka, always so meticulous in his race preparation and during the race. And this gives Thompson a clean pass for second position and maybe enough time, I don't know, 3.6 seconds. It's a bit too much to close down the gap to Birmingham, and a big gift, of course, for everybody behind Evdoka, like Ayers and Lavalli. And I don't know if Kalinen will be able to profit from this. Evdoka comes out of the pits. He should be in front of... No, he's not. He made another mistake.
That, didn't he?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he may have had a chance. So he's down into 7th position. Kalinen and Robinson up for the taking. It was quite a long stop in the end for Evdoka. They must have put in no fuel at that first pit stop. Whatever happened there, I know he took a faster pair for certain, but he just put no fuel or something in there. It's cost him terribly in this race. Interesting battle actually between Kalinen and Robinson. They have been locked together for this entire race, and look how deep on the brakes is Robinson compared to his rival. Usually Kalinen has the edge between these two, but today they are dead level, and two of the Showdown challengers fighting against one another. Robinson a little bit offline, but yeah, he's looking excited, is Colin Robinson, and driving really aggressively, and looks as though he could maybe mount an attack anytime soon.
Yeah, you see that BMW number 77 almost sliding into the corners. Robinson is desperately trying to close the gap, but Kalinen has been very consistent in this race, and this P5 would be very good for him. And I think that the gap is a little bit too big. And as Birmingham starts the final lap of the race, Thompson picks off 1 second, but is, I think, too late for the race lead.
Yes,
unless Birmingham is saving fuel. Unless Birmingham is saving fuel, of course.
Yes, maybe. It was a significantly slower pit stop, and actually, looking down the field, only Anthony Jacobson had a faster pit stop, and now 1/100th faster. So maybe there's something going wrong there. Colin Robinson, well, he's very deep on the brakes into these guys, and it's admirable from Colin Robinson. He's taking the early apexes, but I just feel as though he's driving almost too aggressively, and it's just compromising his kind of speed through the corners.
Yeah, you see he gets very close in this double left-hander, but he needs to get a good exit. Now the right-hander for the first time under the bridge. See, strange lines from Robinson. He had not a good line, for example, to there. He almost cut the corner in the grass. And of course Kalinen needs nothing else but that, and he puts a little bit of a gap on him in that corner. And of course when you make a mistake, you lose ground in all the next corners before basically you can get once again back to speed.
Wormingham rounding the final few corners now. Here he comes, Richard Wormingham, to take race 3 here at Motegi. Fantastic drive from him. He really had a duel between himself and Josh Thompson, and he came out on top. He looked as though he was the faster driver throughout that race, and with the undercut proving crucial, he has managed to win this race. He came so close to winning race 1, came so close to winning a race last time out at Interlagos, and this race is not over yet. Lee Diemer trying the move on James Underhill. These two have been fighting against one another for a while. We kind of did beat Colin Robinson, and Diemer will try all he can to challenge his rival, but he's not going to make it on the line. And Lee Diemer will finish in 9th position, James Underhill in 8th place. Michael, a brilliant day of racing. BSR Grand Tour once again delivering. I swear these races are just getting better and better in this series. And that race 3 was a little bit different to what we've seen in races 1 and 2. The races 1 and 2 were kind of almost guilty entertainment. It was kind of, you know, some collisions and kind of a bit of controversy, which we all like. But in that third race, that was pure pace between the top three, and pure strategy as well. And it was great to watch.
Absolutely, the fireworks are the right ending for a great evening of racing, and we had everything for all the tasters around there. We had some great drives, great passing, some great battles, bumper to bumper, and wheel banging and door banging, mistakes in strategies, everything that you could want from a race meeting, and also a night race, I mean, and fireworks. What else do you want?
Yeah, absolutely. And going through the final results now, Richard Warren takes the race victory from 5th on the grid. We kind of forget that, but what a good drive that was. I think that's probably the best drive I've seen Richard perform, apart from maybe yesterday where he managed to finish 2nd in the Euro V8. Really is a driver on the rise as Richard Warmium, and what a drive that was to the race victory. Josh Thompson finishes in 2nd, and considering he jumped into race 2, I doubt did too much practice either for this event after working on maybe some other priorities. That was a really good effort to finish in 2nd in that race. Jamie Ayres, 17 seconds off the lead. He really had the pace though, and if it weren't for a poor start, he would have been right in the mix. A 3rd place for him. Steve Lavelli finishes in 4th from 14th on the grid. Great recovery, great strategy from him. Ruth Cullen finished in 5th. More good points for him. He must be in the showdown positions now. So too will be Colin Robinson, whose place in that showdown will almost certainly be confirmed now. Michael Abduka won race 1, 2nd in race 2. Looked like so he was going to get 3rd in race 3, but instead it's 7th. Had to make an extra pit stop. It'll be fascinating to know what happened in that race. James Underhill finishes in 8th. He had a great battle with Lee Dean. He actually complimented that battle. Did James really had good fun out there with Anthony Jacobson in 10th. Lena Collin finishes 11th with Scott Malcolm 12th. Then it's Kip Stevens 2 laps down. Lee Woodburn 11 laps down. And Max Wright 19 laps down, and rounding up the drivers out there. And have got the interviews coming up. And first up, I think we'll have Josh Thompson once again. And Josh, well done once again. That was an awesome race too. And I think today, I don't think you were the fastest driver necessarily, but in terms of racecraft, you are absolutely top notch, and that really does set you apart from pretty much every other driver, I'd say, in this series.
Yeah, the Mac is not good. Let's just clear that up. I'm just going to clear this up now. It's the worst GT3 on the grid, by a mile. The Merc drove up to me by about 4/10 on the straight. The Audi has more mechanical grip. It's just an absolute weapon of a car. I was having to try so hard just to keep it on the track.
Yeah, I was talking to Sam during the broadcast, and I said that the McLaren seems like it wants to step from under you every time you try to make a corner.
Yeah, it caught me out so many times. You can see like one lap I nearly spun off in turn 1 on the brakes just because the car just doesn't have any weight on it. That's the issue. It has no weight. Whereas like the Merc's got a lot of weight transfer on the brake, same as the BMW. It all jack. The Mac just sits flat, and that's what catches me out on it.
And in that race 3, we saw you leading the race coming into your pit stop, but you had a pit stop some 4 seconds longer than Richard Warmium. Can you explain that, why you took a little bit more fuel?
No, it was Pentry.
Oh.
They were cutting the inside, going into the pit.
Okay.
Like, 'cause I've got the track thing on. You can see when people have been going over the grass, and obviously it only stays fresh. So I was a lap after warming up, and there was massive lines of across the grass. I've gone around it, and because I've gone around it, I've slowed the car down.
Right, okay, that does explain it. Yeah,
Fuel,
so
I was a little bit over on fuel, but I was only 2 laps. The Mac had to go full tank. Even like the sprint rate, one before, race 2, I went full tank. I only had 1 lap of fuel left. So it was always going to be tight on fuel.
yeah, maybe the Mac is just a little bit heavier on
Because no one races it. They don't know what the correct fuel is for it, that's why.
Yeah, and so of course your main aim is the Shadow program now, and in the McLaren maybe it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I guess everyone else is in the same boat when you're racing the McLaren, but that's going to be a really big challenge to just learn this car. Let's lane any other car. This is going to be extra difficult.
Yeah, I thought I'd get a head start on it now. I know I've been quite good in GT. I was going to sacrifice World GT as well because 2 tracks, Brands Hatch and Imola, are on the schedule and they're on the McLaren Shadow. So I don't know. I need to wait to see how tomorrow goes. If I have a bad round tomorrow, I'll be switching to the Maca for both of them. I think I spoke to Lee. I swapped because I still can get in the Showdown, technically. But doing the same thing in the BSR TC, I think on like wins and stuff like that. So I think I can still qualify. But it makes the racing a bit better for everyone else because I'm in a slower car. I'd say I put a lot of time in a BMW, but I know what I'm doing in that car, whereas this is quite brand new, really, to get used to.
Yeah, definitely. And next time we've got Phillip Island. I think it's Phillip Island anyway. Yes. What are your feelings towards that track? Do you think the McLaren will be any better around that circuit?
No.
And is that a strong circuit for you?
Yes, then no. Yeah, I'm good there. No, the car. Can you imagine what it's going to be like through turn 2?
Oh, yeah, okay. And
The car's only good when it's got max wing. At Phillip Island, you have to trim the cars out. You have to run low downforce. So and I'm not going to have time to practice. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be exactly the same again as tonight, jumping for race 2 with like 2-3 minutes to go. No testing. So it's going to be a tall order, but it's going to finish. As long as I finish, try and like pick up a win like I did tonight in race 2. It's really helpful, gets me back in position for the Showdown.
Yeah, definitely. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, you guys for the broadcast. It was great as always. The admins Lee for like sorting me out with his car, like the car swap and give me information on it. So thank you to him for that.
Thanks, Josh. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. I need a rest now anyway, so.
Yeah, don't blame you.
Alright, still, I guess.
So yeah, Marco, next time, Phillip Island. It's always a circuit that I think delivers good racing. I don't think I've ever seen a bad race at Phillip Island, real life or on the sim. It's another unique circuit. It's just lots of fast corners. And yeah, it's a narrow circuit as well. It's going to provide another great challenge.
Elevation changes and a lot of unforgiving grass on the outside of the corner. So if you make a mistake, you don't have a car park on the outside, but you have grass. So if you go wide, you go very, very wide, and risk. Don't say that you risk getting into the barriers because the runoff areas are very big, but you lose a lot of time and maybe you spin. It's going to provide a unique challenge, and Josh was right. I was making the example of the basically the S's at the Glen for say how unstable the McLaren is, and that first corner at Phillip Island is quite much the same because it has a little bit of banking, then you go up the hill. It's going to be a handful for him, and I think we will see once again the Mercedes and the BMW as the cars that will be, I would say, not easier but more reliable to drive around there.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be fascinating to see how Josh deals with that. We will be back next time at Phillip Island. Tomorrow we've got the World GT, of course, Grand Motegi, same cars as well, the GT3s, and I think I don't know when that season ends, but you know the points always matter, and I think the championship's pretty close as well. I think it's Nicole Foggy leading the championship in that series, so certainly tune in for that. And then Tuesday we've got the BSR MS5s. Tuesday night we've got the Rick Tech Sports Car Series. Then Wednesday we've got the Le Mans Series. Thursday the BSR TC Pro Series. And yeah, I think then we'll be back with us for that Phillip Island round, the final round before the Showdown. How much will the points matter there? Still looking really close in the standings. We will be back next time, and from me, from Market, and from Sam, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.